Hey Taurus, this is your monthly tarot reading. So this is for Taurus Sun or Rising for the month of October 2023. So we are back to our regularly scheduled everything, which I'm very happy about. So to just be caught up and back to everything. We've got some interesting astrology going on this month. I won't get into that on this video. You can check out the astrological highlights video for the first half of October to get a sense of what's going on there. Also, I have bi-weekly videos. If you haven't checked those out, those are from new to full moon and full to new moon. The last ones were filmed on the 29th of last month, so that'll take us up to the next moon phase. So, all right, let's take a look at what is going on for you this month. So this is of the readings that I do. The bi-weekly readings are kind of short little bites, and of the readings that I do, these are more extensive. They're a little bit longer. They tend to go about up to or around 15 minutes. So, and we're going to be taking a look at the beginning, middle, and end of the month. So I just thought that this deck was, it felt festive. It felt like it's totally appropriate for where we are in the season. So here we go. And then what deck do I'm feeling for the challenge? Let's see. Now I'm feeling like sticking with this deck, and I'm actually feeling like it's the top card here. Okay. And what kind of spiritual advice? Why do I keep dropping my cards? I keep hitting my thumb. Actually, I'm feeling a different deck. Let's use this for the spiritual advice. It's good to be back on a regular schedule, you guys. Thank you so much for your patience last month. That was a lot. Okay, look at all the pages we've got going on here. Okay, cool. So in this reading, we're going to take a look at how we can, like what filter we can put this through. So what area of life is this more about? And we use the astrological deck for the houses that I have to discuss that so that we have some kind of framework to put this through, since it is a collective reading. As I always say, if you really want to get specific for you and really understand like a specific situation for you, one-to-one readings are really the best way to do that. So you can get the information for that down below in the description box if you want to book with me. So otherwise, if this message resonates with you, awesome, great, fantastic. If it doesn't, just not your message this month. You know, that's how it goes with collective readings. I follow certain collective readers, and I just know that some months it's my month and some months that's not my reading, and they'll go check out my rising sign instead. So that's how I work my readings as well. So what area of life is coming up for you, Taurus? I kind of feel like this came up, maybe it was the last moon readings, perhaps. I thought that this area came up also for Taurus, if I'm not mistaken, but here we have the 12th house, right? So it does say introspection. I do agree with that. It is about, it's a very introspective house. It's definitely a very deep house, has to do with the subconscious, with our psyche, right? This is about our mental health, our, you know, also can have to do with our sense of spirituality, how deeply connected we are to that. Also, in the shadow sense, has to do with the ways in which we isolate or run away or escape that in ways that are not healthy for us. Could have to do with addictive types of tendencies, not necessarily substances, but sure, it could be, but also other ways that we're addicted to, you know, escaping whatever that is, whether that's like food or, you know, Netflix or whatever it is, right? So these are all of the different areas that have to do with the 12th house. Also, altered states of consciousness, you know, like plant medicine journeys, things of that nature, right? So that's what we have to deal with here. It's a lot of, I would say, it's a lot of, yes, introspection. It is a very personal house. It's a very internal house. It's definitely a very, I think, spiritual house, but it has like this kind of tenderness to it because of that quality of, you know, having to do with the subconscious and having to do with like our mental health, right? So it can be a really sensitive place in that sense, and can feel maybe even challenging for us to deal with, because there's often stuff hanging out in this house that is intense. It's a lot. So what do we have unfolding for beginning, middle, and end of the month for you? We have the 5 of Pentacles. Interesting. 5 of Pentacles. We have the Hermit, and we have the Star. So interesting that you have like 2 major arcana rounding out the month here, and then we have 2 pages here at the bottom for your challenge and your spiritual advice. So it's interesting. It's like different elements of the same caliber, right? We'll get to that. So starting out with the beginning of this month, it's interesting because we were talking about the 12th house kind of qualities, and we're looking at the, 5 of Pentacles. There is this like feeling of like lack, or feeling like you're all alone, like it's all on your shoulders, like the world is on your shoulders, or like, feeling isolated or kind of like on the outs. And because of how all-encompassing this area can be, this can be about like your friend groups, this could be about love, this could be about, work, this could be about a lot of different things, but just like where you might feel a lack, maybe a lack of resources, or like you don't have enough of what you need to create and to make what it is that you want to make, right? Remember that when we're talking about Pentacles, we're talking about that earth suit, right? So maybe perceiving that you're in a victimized position and needing to kind of step out of that way of perceiving the world, that way of thinking. And I know that, when I'm not in that space, it's like easier to say, right? But when we're in that space, it's like, it can really feel so intense. It can really feel very 12th house, right? So just know that you have resources, that you have community, that you have tools at your disposal, and it's really a matter of flipping your perspective and just viewing things through a different lens, a different filter. And I think in order to do that, you're being called in the middle of the month to really step into a place of solace and some solitude in a healthy way. Like when we look at the introspection and the isolation from a healthy perspective in this particular card, it's lovely, right? It's healthy, it's beautiful, it's good. It's needed for us. It's when it turns into isolating and avoiding and loneliness and like in a very like sad and heavy way that it can turn our not that that's bad, but it can turn really quickly, right? It can be really hard and heavy to kind of like make our way out of that. So in looking at the Hermit, this is where it's important for you to start to ask yourself these big picture questions. I mean, if you're in the upper, like northern hemisphere, right? If you're in the United States and you're watching this, for instance, like depending on where you are, like we're moving into winter, okay? And this might be a time where you're feeling kind of called, like we're moving into fall and then winter soon. And it's like, okay, fall time might be a time to like go inward, or you might be feeling the draw to like cozy up and go inward anyways. But there's something about this time of year anyhow, especially as we get towards the end of the month, where like the veil is really thin, as they say. And so perhaps this is a really good time to start to consider, I don't know about you, I don't do my planning anymore at like the beginning of the year. I start doing my planning for like what I want the next quarters to look like around this time anyhow. So maybe that's what this is about, is like doing an overall inventory of your life. But the Hermit is asking you to ask these big picture questions, right? The light is meant to signify this like guiding light that you yourself have, right? You have this clarity, you have this guiding light internally. And while, yes, it's helpful to look to other sagacious people that you can trust, you can trust their counsel in your life, that's important to have that, and that's awesome. However, it's important to also step into your own world and to recognize that you have the answers as well. You can trust your intuition, and you need to like become really clear, come face to face, and be very real and honest with yourself about what it is that you want, what feels good to you, right? So this is those big picture questions about, what do I want for my life? Is what I wanted still what I want now? Right? Am I feeling somehow like disconnected in some way? Maybe like you're being drawn into this inner world to examine, like, is what you want on a deep level still aligned with what you're pursuing in your life, whether that's career, relationship, friend groups, what you do on a day-to-day basis, your habits, you know, your health, whatever it is, right? Family, any of those, where you live, right? All of these things are up for question. And this is a time for you to ask yourself these questions, you know, about whether it's still aligned for you anymore, what is or what isn't, and how do you want your life day to day to feel and to look. And are you actually doing things on a daily basis that are hindering you from having that? Are you doing things that you had set into motion and you're just kind of going through the motions, and it's like they're not moving you any closer to what you want, or they're just kind of moving you in a direction that you had set a year, 2, 3 years ago, and it's no longer relevant because now you want to kind of turn and go in a different direction? It's a good time to refresh what you want. I think we should do that a lot more often than I think we do overall, a lot of us, you know? So this is that time, right? So that's what's going on. I think it's a really potent time. It's a really potent card. It's definitely a card that I pay a lot of attention to. In the last third of the month, we have this clarity that comes through. So I think if you're just like really following and really taking to heart the path that's being laid out, I think that if you really follow that flow, you're going to be led to this place in the last third of the month where you get the kind of clarity and healing and insight that you need, right? The Star card comes after the Tower card, after everything has been leveled, and there needs to be like, you sweep away the rubble, and here you are on this bright, clean, fresh, crisp night with the stars out and like being lit by starlight and being connected to the heavens, and you know, the pouring water that goes down to the earth, and like the pouring of the water and being connected into this like kind of threefold world. And so there is this connection between like above, below, where you are in the center, and this being kind of like this channel or channel or conduit for this, for your life, right? I'm not saying it necessarily has to be something spiritual in nature if that's not what you're up to, but more so that you're connected in this way that feels clean and clear and healing. And, you know, for some of you, perhaps depending on what you're working with, maybe it allows you to be seen more as well, you know, because the star is something that can represent that. You know, as far as the challenge, I think that, you know, need to distinguish between fantasy and, let's see, how do I want to put this? Like there's something about the whimsical, childlike, fantasizing and daydreaming and wonder about the world. And then there's a point at which it hits this like very fine line where it trips over into like escapism and not really ever doing anything tangible to move towards those things, right? And so I think that, and you know, and also being like maybe a little too lost in the feeling space and not enough in the more like practical or like just more action-based type of methods. You know, the Page of Cups is a really great card. However, when it's in a challenge position like this is what I'm seeing, right? And so then we take a look at your spiritual advice, and we have another page, right? Which I was saying is like interesting because they're 2 pages, 2 different elements, one of water, one of air, right? Air bringing in that logic, also air bringing in, you know, the upright sword there representing the truth, right? Your seeing and understanding and clearly thinking and seeing like the truth of the matter and what needs to happen, using your logic and reason to cut through things and to get clarity, right? The Page of Swords actually makes it, you know, up to this kind of mountain peak where he's getting this vantage point and able to survey the area and do the research and look, or like survey everything and get a sense of what needs to actually happen, right? And also just getting that big picture, you know, view, that zooming out helps us to be able to you know, make better decisions. And so there is it's like moving out of one stage and moving it to the next stage, which is like, okay, now let me do the research. Now let me get clear on and present to like what's actually here. Let me use my logic to start to create a strategy for what needs to happen next so that I can start to put things into action. You know, definitely I love how this is clear energy, like the clean, clear energy of the Page of Swords being above the clouds, cutting through everything and getting to that clarity. And then also the clarity that's coming through being mirrored in the star here. I really like that as well. So that's what's coming up for you for this month, Taurus. So, you know, definitely check out the astrological highlights video so that you can get like the overall context within which to kind of insert this, right? And definitely check out the bi-weekly videos as they come out. Like I said, I put out the last one on the 29th. So yeah, check that out. If this was helpful, please give the video a like. It helps me with the algorithm gods. And also, so you don't miss any of the videos on the horizon, why not hit the subscribe button and the notification bell? So I will see you guys in the next video. Thanks. Bye.